Hello, it's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Could we be on the brink of World War III as President Trump weighs sending Tomahawk missiles to Russia, who has said that if those Tomahawk missiles come, that would be potentially the start of World War III, right? So I don't see President Trump doing that. I think, he's, trying to get Russia to come to some kind of negotiating table. It's just threatening. Sometimes empty threats, if you do them enough, they start to deteriorate as far as like a tool in convincing people to come to the table and talk. So I don't know what he's thinking about this. Definitely sending Tomahawk missiles that are nuclear capable to Ukraine would be not very smart, because for one, those Tomahawk missiles would absolutely have to have U.S. soldiers to man and deploy them, and it would be U.S. technology that would have to be utilized, because Ukraine doesn't have that, to guide those missiles and so forth. So it's not something that I think is going to happen. But if it does, look out. All right. So let's look at, some of the things that are going on out there. Let's look at, how Russia is basically devastating Ukraine right now. I've talked about this for a while. I said that at some point we're going to see Russia just roll over the entire landscape when the Ukrainian army is completely decimated, right? And we're close to that now. So you look at several different people that cover this. The Military Summary is an excellent one. Just look at the headlines. I watch all of these every day. Not all of them, but as you can see, I've watched these videos. All right. They got the little red line. That means I've watched them. All right. Kazatsky has fallen. It looks like they made a deal, probably surrendering, going all in, Tomahawks in exchange for. So Zelensky wants Tomahawks because he thinks if he gets Tomahawks, he can stay in power, because there's supposed to be, another. They're not going to do it because they haven't done it in years. Another election, I think, in November. But they're under military, martial law. So that they can't do an election under martial law, or at least that's what Zelensky had them, or, their politicians made it so that was the case. Of course, we can always vote here, and we always have during war, even during the Civil War, we voted. So Zelensky's true plan revealed. The defense has collapsed in Pokrovsk. It's encircled. Blackout in Kyiv as Russian missile strikes on pretty much daily and nightly all across Ukraine. They're blowing up all the power plants, all the oil factories, all the train stations. It's going to be a very cold winter in Ukraine, and they're telling people to get out of the big cities, like I've been saying here in America. But they're the reason why is because they're going to be blacked out. So it'd be more survivable, I guess, if they go to the countryside. So a new strike is being prepared. The next strike could be the last. Winter will be tough, like I said. And then they talk about all these different towns. Novokorivka has fallen. Operation Donbass Ark. Novosibirsk has fallen. Collapse of the defense. Western Ukraine under attack. So all of these, it's basically Ukraine's failing everywhere. Everything, all across the entire front, and it's a massive front. It's a massive front that the Russians are forcing the Ukrainians to fill all across the front for 1,000 plus kilometers. And that's basically making the lines thin. Their defenses can't be manned well. And so the Russians are just coming in and taking them down left and right. They're encircling a lot of the cities, cutting off the supply lines, and then slowly squeezing them. So here, like right here, 2 kilometers from operational encirclement. So they keep doing these pincer operations. They completely encircle a town instead of just like duking it out, straight into the town. They encircle the town, cut off all the supply lines, and then starve out the defenders. And then they make it so that there's hardly any way they can escape. And if they do try to escape, as they're escaping, they drone strike them, they artillery strike them, all kinds of, they're just devastating the Ukrainian army. Highway of death. Pokrovsk disaster. Armed forces of Ukraine lost 20 vehicles near Rodinsk. So there's a lot of vehicles that are being lost. The Ukraine hardly has any vehicles left. They have no air superiority whatsoever. All they have is drones. They're getting less and less drones. They can't stop the constant bombardment of missile and drone strikes are hitting their major cities. They're losing everywhere. And so for some reason, they think that if they get some Tomahawk missiles, now when they had the Patriot missile batteries to protect Kyiv and some other places, the Russians found them and destroyed them, destroyed all of them. And they were supposedly America's like indestructible battery, right? They couldn't get at it because but we saw that the Russians have missile systems that are way beyond the speed of sound, and they can come in, and the Patriot missile batteries can track them, and they'll fire 3 or 4 at one missile and take up that one missile, but there's like 3 behind it, and bam, just takes out everything. So I don't know that the Tomahawk will be any more effective. It could be because we'll see. I don't know. Maybe they're more. They're faster. I don't know. I know they're shot from ships, oftentimes dropped from aircraft, bombers, and so forth. They're very effective missile system. So that the fact that Ukraine may get them, there's a lot of talk about it, may get Ukraine or Russia to the bargaining table. That's the intention of it, obviously, and I don't think Russia's flinching. And why would they? But they're telling America, they're pretty much coming straight out and saying that if you send those, it's pretty much an act of possible nuclear aggression, and we will meet that, right? So we saw that with the Biden administration. So we don't want to see that anymore, right? So I don't know what kind of little game Trump administration's playing here, but maybe it's just like, we're going to say this and you do that and continue to take down the Nazis and the NATO. I don't know. But it is, we have to be aware that this is pushing in a direction that's very concerning, right? So let's look at other defeats of Ukraine. It's a disaster in Ukraine. You think some Tomahawk missiles coming in is going to save this army? 5 elite Ukrainian groups raised the white flag and surrendered. Pokrovsk lost pretty much. Let's get to the videos. Disaster in Kupiansk, Ukrainian troops trapped. 5 elite Ukrainian groups raised white flag. Pokrovsk lost for Ukraine. 160,000 soldiers flee the front, raising a white flag. Pokrovsk disaster, Ukraine fell into 3 cauldrons. A cauldron basically is where they pretty much encircle the city, and anyone that tries to escape, they basically, like I was talking about, they get droned, and they basically get blown up, right? If they wait too long. So total collapse, Pokrovsk falls, total blackout in Ukraine, 10,000 elite soldiers raise a white flag. So every day in Ukraine, it's a disaster. Russia is annihilating the Ukrainian army. All of NATO, and while the 4 years while the Biden administration was in, and they said hundreds of billions of dollars. I think they sent over $1 trillion in money that was a lot of it was laundered, of course, and then also supplies, which depleted United States supplies. So it's pretty much a disaster for NATO. And the people of France are like demonstrating because there's talk of sending troops into Ukraine. So the people are demonstrating. Good for them. It's like, we don't want this war. Same thing in the UK. So probably the same thing in Germany. I don't know. Probably all of the UK. Probably all of Europe. So Russia's Medvedev says supplying U.S. Tomahawks to Ukraine could end badly for all, especially Trump. So former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev said on Monday that the Tomahawk missiles would end badly. Medvedev, an arc hawk who has repeatedly goaded Trump on social media, said it is impossible to distinguish between a Tomahawk missile carrying nuclear warheads and conventional ones. And this is true because the Tomahawk can carry nukes. So imagine, I don't know, Canada, they don't want to give up their provinces to become states. So Canada shoots some kind of potentially nuclear missile into the United States. What do you think would happen, right? There would be hell to pay, right? So that's what the Russians are saying. Don't play this game. This is basically not going to be good for our relations. Trump was just literally rolled out the red carpet for Putin in Alaska, and now he's going to send Tomahawks. Like I said, I'm very skeptical. I think it's just a bargain. He's trying to use it as a bargaining tool. Empty threat, right? Not smart. So yeah, I might tell him, Putin, this is Trump. And this was on Sunday. They asked him if he may offer long-range Tomahawk missiles that could be used by Kyiv if Putin does not end the war in Ukraine. So he says, if the war is not settled, we may very well do it. We may not, but we may do it. See, Trump plays this back and forth all the time. This is a psychological game that he uses, and he uses it very well. Do they want to have Tomahawks going in their direction? I don't think so. Medvedev wrote, one can only hope that this is another empty threat, like sending nuclear submarines closer to Russia, right? So I would say it is. I think Trump and Putin are like, they got some kind of little game going on where it's like, you do this, I'll say this, and don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. But you keep slaughtering these idiots, these Nazis that keep coming to your Russian front, and that's really the way it is. Russia is hardly losing anyone but the Ukrainians, and of course, the people that are coming from all over Europe to fight in Ukraine. They're being annihilated by Russia, absolutely annihilated. So it is. I know Trump wants to end. He's like the peace guy, but this is something that needs to happen, right? It's like all of the crazies that are here in our states, in these big cities. Something's got to give there, right? Just like it happened in Ukraine. So Ukraine got way out of hand. The Democrats in all the big cities are way out of hand, right? I don't see us shooting Tomahawks into these cities, but maybe, guys. I don't know. It's. I think it's going to get pretty bad in a lot of these cities. So it's kind of up in the air, what they're going to do. Now in Poland has basically been gearing up over the last several years for potential showdown with Russia, right? So here's a lot of gear. This is probably some kind of a dog and pony show where people come. Yep, it is. We got all these plaques out here. So you have all these people coming in and checking out all the gear that they, I guess, have or they potentially have. See, here's a drone that can be launched from this. And within here, there's probably all kind of, controllers for the drones. So there's Russia as a Russian aggression, whatever, turns west. Poland says it's ready. Warsaw has doubled the size of its military since 2014 and boosted military spending to nearly 5% of GDP. All right. So Poland, do you remember how the Soviet Union just rolled right over you? Right. So maybe that's why they want to get, bulked up with weapons. I don't know. But they're not going to stop Russia. If Russia decides to come into Europe, which there's no reason for them to come into Europe. All they're doing is protecting their border from Nazis. Ben, maybe some of these European Nazi, countries, they might have to take care of business in them, right? So I would think it's very unlikely, but if Putin were to somehow pass over and Medvedev would take over, yeah, or Russia would basically take over Europe, right? And they would take it over. There would be no stopping the Russian army because there's nothing in NATO, nothing that could even slow down the Russians if they really wanted to go in. So what Europe should be doing is making peace, making friends, and doing trade deals with Russia, so there is no war. But they keep pushing. They keep the verbal assault on Russia. They're taking away all their money and trade and stuff that there were in banks. They seized all their money. This is unprecedented for one country to do that to another country. So it's not really looking good for Europe. So the only thing that can save Europe is if a grown-up shows up like Trump, right? Because they're all children. They're all communist children that think that they can just steal from their people, and their people are going to just let them. At some point, I think the people, just like we saw in the Soviet Union, are going to stand up and push back and take back their countries. All right. So at this point, I don't know. Now, I did a special show earlier on silver. There is a massive gap in the price of silver on the basically the metals exchange, COMEX, and it's a much lower price than what the actual prices things are being sold for. So right now, silver stands at $52.82 for spot price, and then for the futures on the COMEX, it has been going up quite substantially all day. It's almost up 10% from where it closed on Friday, since trading opened last night and into right now. So right now it's up another almost 2%. It was up over 7%. So we're almost at a 10% rise in silver, but still silver is over $1 less than spot price on the COMEX. So the spot price keeps going up, and the COMEX price is, although it's going up very rapidly, it's not catching up. So it's still going up. And I explain why this is happening on my special report on silver. So the economy there's lots of cracks in the economy, and it's not going to last much longer before it completely collapses, right? Worldwide. Right, breaking. North Carolina to redraw congressional maps to stop California. So California, everyone's leaving it. Lots of people hate the government, the vampire who is the governor. And President Trump delivered countless victories during his first term in office. And 9 months into his second term, he continues to achieve unprecedented wins. However, now Texas just redrew some of their redistricting. And so there's going to be more Republican congressmen. And now North Carolina is going to do that too. Will it be enough? Right? Now there's other redistricting that could happen if the Supreme Court passes a law, which basically says that you can't use, like, for instance, minorities. Like if you have a lot of blacks in a certain area, or Hispanics in a certain area, or Africans in a certain area, so Somalis, whatever, you can't use that lower number to basically over redistrict. And if that happens, that would free up 19 different positions for Republicans. So that would stand as common sense. Whether that happens before the midterms remains to be seen. But it looks like they're really, pushing very hard to make sure that the Democrats don't completely take over the House again. And if they do, that will be a disaster for America. There's no question about it. All right. And if they get hold of Senate again, like they did, they got hold of a House the last time Trump was in office. In the midterm, he was basically, he had the like he does now. He had obviously the presidency, the Senate, and the Congress. Couldn't get a lot done because he had all those rhinos in there. So a lot of the rhinos have been cleaned out, but the numbers still aren't high enough to, push back on a Democrat surge, right? So we'll see what's going to happen coming into next year. We'll see in the springtime, how effective the Democrats are in cheating, right? And brainwashing their people to vote for them. It is it's a destruction of America, absolutely, if Trump doesn't get the White House and the Senate in his next 2 years, right? And it's incredible that we're coming up. We're not even done with a year yet, but we're coming up on. It usually is about 9 to 10 months out where things really start to kick for the midterms, and there's a lot of focus on that. So it's crazy. It's just like a nonstop. We're at war. We're at war with the enemy within. That enemy within is the Democrat Party and their minions. It's a mess. A lot of people still don't understand that or see that, and we want America's gone. You might as well just move, right? I don't know where you're going to move, but because if America doesn't win, then the rest of the world's pretty screwed too. But that's pretty much where we're at. America is right on the verge again of collapsing. Even though Trump has done all this stuff, he's done a lot. So I still think he's the greatest president ever. But even though he's been the greatest president ever and has done more than any other president, has kept almost all of his promises, almost, right? You can bet if there's not a massive pushback on the Democrat Party, that will probably happen with these cities going crazy. If that doesn't happen, America's lost, right? Absolutely lost. And moving Wolf Mother, I'm with you, Wolf Mother. I probably would move to Russia too. But if Trump doesn't win and the Democrats get control again, just like Joe Biden, he'll bleed America to death, and he'll send troops to Europe to fight the Russians. No doubt, no doubt. Or the Democrats will, not Putin, not. There was a time there was a someone that looked like Joe Biden that was kind of somewhat in charge, but we know that was just a figurehead. So it is going to be very interesting what happens over the next several months. All right, and we have like this 3-eye atlas, coming close to the sun towards the end of this month. It seems to be affecting the Earth and the sun. So as it gets closer, is it going to cause some kind of massive Earth change activity? So lots of different things, to look at and be aware of. If it wasn't enough that we have the Democrats and the leftists destroying our country, we also have to look at central casting, as Trump says, yes, Wolf Mother. So yes, Wolf Mother. So there is a lot of central casting going on. Of course, there's a President Trump, a couple different President Trump, central casting people out there, and but still the Trump administration and the White Hats, for the most part, are completely in charge. For the most part, completely in charge. Yeah, for the most part. So we just, send it good energy, send it love, hope for the best, put our energy and push in certain areas to try and help this thing move in the direction that it needs to go. Otherwise, if we're not active, we've already seen what happens. Now, we've had a lot of people that have come back into YouTube. All right, so the messages and the information is starting to come out again. That's a good sign. But is it enough? So we seem to be winning the information war. Not completely, of course, but we're doing better. There's still a lot of problems with the COVID vaccination. With the educational system, putting out false information from the press. It's like, wow. It's like, can we somebody sees this press, this fake press at some point? But, I guess, here we are. The guys like me, people like me, they're out here, putting out the real and true information. It's frustrating not to see it, taking over the deep state apparatus and it being shut down. And why is that? Why is it being allowed to stay there? Are they going to use that at some point? We're going to let these people peter out a little bit and then we'll just seize it. I think that's probably what it is. I don't know. But a lot of those people are, they all work together. I mean, I love Trump, but Trump he's within that group, guys, right? He's within that group. He's rubbed shoulders with all the billionaires, right? He knows them all. So if for me, I know who's bad. Can I do anything about it? No. And maybe he's the same way. He grew up, he knew who was bad. Can he do anything about it? It's so infiltrated, and there's so many, and they're so interwoven within the system. You pluck one of them out, and there's 10,000 others that support the same system. It's incredible. It's pretty overwhelming. I've seen this system from just my perspective, but I'm not in it. I'm not in that system, having done the things that these people do, partied with them. We've seen all these videos where, you got one political, like a Democrat and a Republican, they're like bickering back and forth, yelling and screaming. And then you see them having dinner together, and it's like they're old friends. It's like, what? Because that's the way it is. They're all interwoven. It's just a public display for the most part. A lot of these people, and it's to overwhelm it. It would obviously collapse the local system, which I think has to happen. So does the financial system starting tomorrow collapse? Right. I think it could be. It could be that's the thing that really starts to unwind these things. Because I tell you, it's the money. We've always heard follow the money, right? And the money controls so much. I've seen it, in all my travels, in the SEAL teams and the highest levels, and then the CIA at the highest levels. There's disgusting levels of money that's thrown around by these people. You have no idea. So if that starts to dry up from them, like it's drying up from us, I mean, everything is collapsing. So who's rich now? Who's getting rich? Are they getting richer as everything else collapses around? It's insane. I look at like real estate, and I've been watching it. It should have collapsed back in 2022, but it's been manipulated up. So I look at, all the way back into like it started to recover from 2008 when it collapsed fairly well, right? And it slowly collapsed more, and then it started to come back. So 2017, 2018, you started to see a little bit of a blip up again. 2019, and then of course 2020 when COVID hit and they dumped all the money in. In 2021, it just like went almost straight up. So I'm looking at real estate like around here, because I like to at some point buy maybe something around here. There is back in 2019, 2020, before COVID hit and they dumped the money and everything went crazy, ridiculous crazy. I'm looking at a home, not to purchase, but I'm looking at this one home that's $8 million. And I'm like, I would be happy to live in that house, right? It's got all these different, it's got like an acre and a half, and it's got like different buildings, it's got an indoor pool. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. And I'm looking at the price. It's already come down like $1.5 million from its high. So the high was around 2020, beginning of this year, 2024, 25. So it was right at 10 million, just below 10 million. It was a steal, right? So I'm like, so it's down $1.5 million from that peak just in the last 7-8 months, right? 9 months almost. $1.5 million down. So I'm like, well, what was it before COVID? It was like 2 friggin' million. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So that's where a lot of this real estate is just like, now normally real estate, if it goes up 5-8% a year, that's mag. That's a great, you got a great location. But for it to go up like, 100% year, 200% year after year after year, that ain't right. All right. And so that has to correct. So we're going to see prices collapse again in residential real estate. It's already been collapsing for the last couple of years. So 2022, when I said it's done, stock market's crashing, real estate's crashing, and it all started to crash in 2022. And then it completely turned around and went up this like crazy highs again. The highest ever for real estate, stocks, just not everything now, because a lot of things have been collapsing, but it's ridiculously high. So it has to correct. And so I'm looking at those numbers all the way back there, and I'm like, it's going back there at some point. It may take a year, it may take 2 years, like it took, 3-4 years to get to the high it's at right now, but it's going to go there. It's going back there, and maybe and probably lower, right? So where are you? Will you survive all of the crazy unwinding and wars and rumors of wars and earthquakes and all that stuff we hear in the Bible, prophecy? Where will you be? Because you're like, well, if there was a house that was going for $150,000 and now it's like, $1 million, will they go back to $150,000? Probably. All right. Unless they dumped a lot of money into it and, upgraded it and stuff like that, it might not go quite that low, but it could probably go that low, back to there and then below, right? Below that. But do you have the wherewithal to last that long? Will you be in, if you're working for someone right now, right? If you've saved up a lot of money and you have a lot of silver, I wouldn't save a lot of money. I would have it in silver. I wouldn't have any money in the bank. I'd have it in silver. All right. I wouldn't be buying a brand new car right now unless your jalopy is like collapsing. I wouldn't be going on like crazy vacations right now. I wouldn't be buying a house. Absolutely not buying a house right now. So where would you be in another year, 2, 3 years if you could last that long? Would you have the money? Could you plan it out where you would have the money to buy that house that went to the moon, that you're like, I'd buy that house, but it went to the moon and I ain't going to buy it. I ain't going to buy a moon house. Right? When it comes back to Earth, I would buy it. You would buy it now, but where will you be in a year or 2 or 3, right? So, what line of work you in? How much money have you saved? Or silver, again, how much silver have you saved? And if you're still sitting on money, what in the hell is wrong with you? I just want to reach through and slap a knot on your head. It's like, wake the F up. So if you have it in a bank, you might be finding out pretty soon that it ain't going to work out so good. I think we're going to see some bank failures start to pop really hard again. So think about it. Think about where you would be, what you would do in the next year and a half. If you're struggling at a job where you're barely hanging on in this job and you're seeing everything collapse in your industry, so and you're thinking, well, I got a bunch of silver. I would like use it to survive. That would be good. Back when I basically had my outing with the CIA, it was the silver and gold that I had to tap it to survive. Right. So I don't feel that I'm going to be in a survival mode going forward. I'm going to be in a mode where I'll be able to continually maintain, and I'm waiting for the opportunities. Right. And if you have enough silver, when silver starts to really take off, you're like, really take off? Yeah, it's not done it yet. All right. So when it really takes off and you're getting $150, $250, $500 an ounce, right? Can you wait that long? Because it may take a few years to get there, right? And if you can't, maybe you can buy something which don't do a friggin' mortgage. So I also looked at that house and I'm like, if I took out a 30-year mortgage, which would be stupid for me, I'm like 65. Why would I take out a 30-year mortgage? So I'm looking at the house and I'm like, let's say that I did, 15% down or 20% down or whatever. And I did the mortgage payments on this house. It's friggin' stupid. It's so stupid. I remember when I had condos, I was like, what? I paid on this condo for like 12 years. And it's like, it hasn't moved what I owe on the friggin' on the thing. It's such a scam. So for 30 years of payments, you're going to end up paying I would have ended up if I took that house for whatever payments, there would be like 3 times the price of the friggin' house. So if I took an $8 million house, it'd be like worth 16, 24, I think. I think it was like 24 million was the total price that I would pay if I took that house, which I don't have that kind of money, but I dream big, and when I dream big, usually I do well. So I'm dreaming big. We'll see what happens. So a $2 million house, maybe, my silver, if it really takes off, I could buy that in cash, right? At some point, if it goes to 500, if it goes to, $250 an ounce, if I take that money and I put it in something else, they talk about all of this rare earth. Rare earth is bullshit. There's plenty of it. But here in the United States, we don't process it. So what if Mike and a bunch of other smart men and women decided they were going to build a rare earth plant to refine it? Because there's plenty of rare earth in the United States. It just has to be shipped somewhere else to be refined. It's like ridiculous. To China. China's got a lot of it, and I think there's some other places to do. I think Venezuela's got a lot of rare earth too. So let's say me and a bunch of other people got together. We're like, I'll put this money down. You put that money down. We'll work our asses off. We'll make this in a few years. We'll be like rare earth or less a year, 9 months. We'll have a rare earth factory. And then we're like pumping it out. And we're all like, got tons of money because, everybody's coming to us. So there'll be opportunities like that for you and for your peeps that you will probably be able to take advantage of. Because when you look back in 1929, 2008, all these different crashes, they were opportunities for those people that had the vision, right? And the people that moved in and took advantage of, the everything collapsing. World War II was like that. World War I was like that. All these different, places. I remember I was listening to this one guy. I was at a place where a lot of rich people were. I wasn't one of them, but there's all these rich people talking, and one of them, their grandfather had bought in Italy, had gone in where everything was bombed and blown up, had gone in and bought real estate in areas that were all like destroyed. Nobody wanted it. No one had money. He had money. He went in and bought all this real estate, and their family, if I told you the family, you'd be like, gee, of course, but their family became ultra wealthy from that, so from the coming destruction that's going to be happening, that's already happening in our economy and the world, will be opportunities of a lifetime. And if you're positioned with silver, that's going to go up to an incredible level. And some of you already have businesses that are going to do well. You position yourself, like I have positioned myself well with LifeWave. So that will be something that will be very successful in the future. So already successful, but it'll be even more successful in the future. So if you position yourself in certain businesses, you can benefit from the coming turmoil. If you have that vision to see that this area will be successful, that area is going to be going away because it's like it's already effed up. So it'll be good when everything collapses because that bullshit goes away. So and that's part of the cleansing process that happens not only with people that are kind of like, you look at all those people that didn't make it on the other side of World War II. At least in a Hitler, we could say, well, Hitler was one. No, I think Hitler survived. So, but Mussolini, we know Mussolini was basically hung by piano wire, right? So all of those people that were not so good to have around and were making everything a mess, they're gone now. Would Gavin Newsom be gone in the future? I think probably. And I don't know, maybe he becomes a pecan tree grower. I don't know, or if in prison or whatever. So I don't know. So there's going to be, like I said, many opportunities, but you have to really start to think about that. Don't be reactive. Don't be reactive. This now is a time to really start to consider what are going to be the successful industries of the future and how you can position yourself in them, and how you could grow your wealth over the next several years if you're positioned correctly and you're out of things that are not, like the person that bought that multi-million-dollar house that I looked at that is now worth $8 million. If they were smart, they'd sell it at a fire sale and get out of it, right? And maybe they get a sucker. So that's another thing. So there's a lot of people out there that are like me, baby boomers that have some real estate and they think it's going to continue to go up. You're not going to be that kind of stupid. Doesn't survive, right? You might be in a millionaire home right now, but you'll be in a shack going forward, right? So you need to start thinking about that kind of stuff too. If you're in a position where you can benefit from the sale of certain things, like real estate, you better get out of it. Better get out of that real estate. I've been saying it for years now, and it will get down to the wire. Things are going to start to collapse very quickly. You saw on Friday how quickly things can collapse. That was not even a taste of what's coming, guys. Not even close. So, all right. You paint beautiful artwork. That's always, Mitch, that's always, that will always go forward. There could be a time where people can't afford that. But if you were to paint things that people could afford, even though right now maybe you get $1 million for a piece of art, in the future you might get 1,000, and that might be a lot of money in the future. So you just have to be more flexible, right, with your stuff. What you're getting for things right now might not be what you're going to get in the future. Now, there is still inflation going on, but that's part of the destructive factor that's going on in destroying this economy forever and it going to something else, right? So that's all. That's enough rambling. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. And in the future, again, there's opportunity, but only for those that are thinking ahead and seeing the patterns of things, right? Those people that were in the .com businesses that were billionaires and then pretty much lost everything overnight. They were getting, the amazing I don't know, Elton John concerts and all kind of crazy stuff. And then it just collapsed. So they didn't see, you know, where things were going, and they got caught in a maelstrom that basically destroyed everything they had. There were so many people like that, right? So you don't want to be that. You don't want to be in that position. There's a lot of you out there that are. There's a lot of billionaires out there that will not have those billions going forward at all, right? They'll go from billionaires to thousandaires, right? So, and that's what happens in every crash. And we're going to go through that cycle. So again, you can't position yourself to benefit and not take advantage, but to benefit and, you know, be in a position where it's going to be very successful going forward. All right. All right, guys, lots of love. Stay in the love vibration, and we'll see you guys next time.